we'll continue our special meeting. Do we have anyone to go into closed? Anything else before we go into closed? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so we might do declarations of conflict of interest.
This from last time,
Head
is it?
Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, that's on the list.
I'd like to declare that I have a declaration of interest on C13. Description is draft 2021-22 project proposals for function, Sale Yards project ID 4.5A. Declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Joanne Hancock. Person with interest, myself and my husband, Graham Hancock. And entities, GL and JM Hancock and Hancock Pastoral Company, GL and JM, myself and my husband, and PR and KM Hancock, brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Particulars of interest. The entities are registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is included in the project proposals for function Sale Yards, specifically project ID 4.5A, replacement of 3-lot recognition scanners located at the Roma Sale Yards. Type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. I also have a conflict in C30. Description is draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5. Declaring council as myself. Person with interest is myself and my husband Graham Hancock, and entities GL and JM Hancock and Hancock Pastoral Company, which is GL and JM Hancock, myself and my husband, and PR and KM Hancock, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Actually, sorry, Cal. Sorry, the entities is just GL and JM Hancock. I went off script. It's not Hancock Pastoral Company. So just delete. Yeah, it's just GL and JM Hancock. The entities own a truck. The entities own a truck and B double, and the economic development and local business strategy for strategic priority 4.2, item 4.2.5, where it states that annually fund the Roma Sale Yards industrial precinct initiatives, which includes the truck wash. Type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Have a declaration in item C.32, description draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.5, Sale Yards. Declaring councillor is myself. Person with interest and related party and close associates is myself and my husband Graham Hancock, and our entities GL and JM Hancock and Hancock Pastoral Company, which is GL and JM, myself and my husband, and PR and KM Hancock, brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Particulars of interest. The entities are registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards, strategic priority 4.5. Type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and the action is that I'll leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on.
Declaration of conflict of interest. I'll declare on item C13, draft 21-22 project proposals for function Sale Yards project ID 4.5A. Declaring councillor is myself, Tyson Golder. Person of interest, related party, close associate or other is myself. I'm registered to buy and sell cattle at Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is included in the project proposal for function Sale Yards specifically. Project ID 4.5A, replacement of 3-lot recognition scanners located at the Roma Sale Yards. Declarable conflict of interest is the type, and the action is I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. C31, draft operational plan, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5. Declaring councillor as myself, Tyson Golder. I'm registered to buy and sell cattle at Roma Sale Yards. Roma Sayeds is mentioned in strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business. Declarable conflict of interest. Leave the, that's the type, and the action is I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. C32, draft operational plan 21-22, strategic priority 4.5, sale yards. Declaring council as myself, Tyson Gola. Particular of the interest is I'm registered buy and sell cattle at Roma Sale Yard. Strategic priority 4.5, declarable conflict of interest is the type, and I will, the action is leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
I have a declaration of interest is C13, draft 2021-22 project proposed for function sale yards project ID 4.5A. I'm the declaring councillor. Persons of interest is my parents, Gary and Julie Burkett. Particulars of the interest, my parents are registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is included in the project proposals for function sale yards specifically. Project ID 4.5A, replacement of the 3-lot recognition scanners located at the Roma Sale Yards. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Another one on C16, draft 2021-22 projects proposed for function plants and depots project ID 5.5A. I'm the declaring councillor. Person of interest is myself and another party. Myself, relation to categories, myself and my parent. My father, Gary Burkett, is a non-government member of the Mitchell Workamp Community Advisory Committee. The Mitchell Workamp also uses my property to access adjoining blocks to mow. The Mitchell Workamp is included in project proposals for function facility, specifically project ID 5.5A, replace lawnmowers for whippersnippers supplied for use by the Mitchell Workamp. It's a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. C23, a list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 project ID U4.9C. I'm the declaring councillor. The person with interest is myself. Particulars of interest, I am the president of the Mitchell RSL and Combined Sports Club. The Mitchell RSL and Combined Sports Club is included in the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, specifically project ID U4.9C, Mitchell RSL upgrade of toilet, ceiling, roof, air conditioning and painting. Type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. C30, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5. I'm the declaring councillor. Person of interest is my parents, Gary and Julie Burkett. Particulars of interest, my parents are registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. Roma Sale Yards is mentioned in the strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Wait, there's more. C.32, draft operation plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.5, sale yards. I'm the declaring councillor. The person of interest is my parents, Gary and Julie Burkett. My parents are registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards, strategic priority 4.5. Declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Can I just ask a question to the CEO? If they are all the same and the action is the same, could we not put the different items in the one declaration? So if the councillors are not changing what they're doing, they're leaving the room, can we not say C13, C23, like basically line them up together, because the wording is exactly the same, the rest of it? What's your view on that? And it doesn't matter, it's off, without notice, so if you don't have a view.
I think it's all, I think it'd be quicker to run through it at this point, Mr Mayor, than redo it.
Right, I know, I was just thinking it's all
I-
the same, so.
I would need to get some advice on that, Mr Mayor.
Depends whether the identities are changing the different things, though, wouldn't it?
'Cause the
Like, one thing is my husband, or then it's the gun club.
Oh, yeah, well, that's different, but I mean if everything was all the same,
Burgos are all good, they're selling.
and it's just the items that are being declared, like, and the action's all the same. I just don't see why we couldn't do them together, but maybe get some advice on that. Okay, sorry, councillor Edwards.
I have a declaration of interest, item C13. Description is draft 2021-22 project proposals for function, sale yards project ID 4.5A. Declaring councillor is Councillor Mark Edwards, person with the interest. Related party, close associate other is a partnership with Kim Edwards, my brother, Mark Edwards and Cameron Edwards, my nephew. Particulars of the interest. Partnership, Kim Edwards' brother, Mark Edwards and Cameron Edwards' nephew. The Roma sale yards is included in the project proposals for function sale yards, specifically project ID 4.5A. Replacement of 3-lot recognition scanners located at Roma sale yards. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action will be leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest, item C15, description draft 2021-22 project proposals for function airport project ID 4.4B. Declaring councillor is Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with interest is myself. Particulars of the interest. I'm an ordinary member of the Roma Area Club Inc. The group is included in the project proposals. The function airport, specifically project ID 4.4B. Roma Area Club review of location and design of facility. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action, leave room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest in item C20, description draft 2021-22 project proposals for function facilities project ID 4.9S and 4.9T. Declaring council is Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with the interest, related party, close associate other is myself and the entity Calico Cottage. Particulars of the interest, I sell oranges at Calico Cottage. Calico Cottage or the precinct containing Calico Cottage is included in project proposals for function facilities, specifically project ID 4.9S, Calico Cottage, to complete detailed design for construction drawings, and project ID 4.9T, Wallumbilla Tourism Precinct. Sorry about that. So type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action, leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest, item C30, description, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5, declaring Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with the interest, related party, close associate other is partnership, Kim Edwards, my brother, Mark Edwards and Cameron Edwards' nephew. Particulars of the interest, the partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at Roma sale yards. The Roma sale yards is mentioned in strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action, leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest, item C32, description, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.5, sale yards. Declaring Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with interest, related party, close associate other is partnership, Kim Edwards' brother, Mark Edwards and Cameron Edwards' nephew. Particulars of the interest, the partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma sale yards, strategic priority 4.5. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, and action is leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest, item C33, description is draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.9, facilities. Declaring Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with the interest is myself. Particulars of the interest, I'm an ordinary member of the Roma Area Club Inc. and the group is mentioned in the strategic priority facilities report airports on pages 159 and 179. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action, leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest, item C33, description, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.9, facilities. Declaring council, Councillor Mark Edwards, person with the interest, related party and close associate other is myself and my partner Pan Otto. Particular of the interest, Pan is Secretary of the Roma Junior Soccer Association Inc. Examples of sporting facilities are mentioned in the report, of which the soccer grounds would be one of them. In brackets, strategic priority facilities. Type of conflict, prescribed conflict of interest action, leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Oh, it's my turn. Declaration of interest on item C11, register of general cost recovery fees and commercial charges. The declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. Person of interest is myself and the entity is the Roma Clay Target Club Inc. I'm the treasurer of the Roma Clay Target Club Incorporated. The report relates to fees and charges for caravan parks. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is voted and discussed and voted on. I have another declaration of interest in C13, draft 2021-22 project proposals for function sale yards, project ID 4.5A. Declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. Person of interest is company Laoshire Proprietary Limited. Peter and Wendy Taylor are the directors of that company. The company is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma sale yards. The Roma sale yards is included in project proposals for function sale yards, specifically project ID 4.5A, replacement of the 3-lot recognition scanners located at the Roma sale yards. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Conflict in C22, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project ID U4.9A. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Wendy Taylor. Person with interest, related party and close associate is myself and the Roma Rural Student Hostel Company Inc. I am a committee member of the Roma Rural Student Council Committee Inc. The Roma Rural Student Hostel is included in the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, specifically the project ID U4.9A, upgrade of driveway, Roma Rural Student Hostel. Conflict of interest is a declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Conflict of interest in C30, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Wendy Taylor. Person of interest is company Laoshire Proprietary Limited. Peter and Wendy Taylor are the directors of that company. Particulars of interest, the Roma sale yards is referred in the strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business. Type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. C32, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.5, sale yards. Declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. Person of interest is a company Laoshire Proprietary Limited. Peter and Wendy Taylor are the directors of that company. Particulars of interest, the company is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma sale yards, strategic priority 4.5. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
I just wonder, Councillor Taylor, just go back to the Roma Hostel one. And
You want me to reread it?
no, I actually think it's not a declarable conflict. It's a prescribed conflict of interest because you're on the executive,
Oh, okay.
and that body has written to council asking for consideration.
So declare a prescribed conflict of interest and leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Thank you.
And I only know that because that's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, good. I'd like to advise a declaration of interest in item number C30. The description is the draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, including 4.2.5. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Julie Guthrie, and the interest or related party or close association or other is that I am in a partnership, which is Guthrie Pastoral Group, which includes myself, my husband Ross Guthrie and my son Nicholas Guthrie. The particulars of the interest is that this partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is mentioned in Strategic Priority 4.2 Economic Development and Local Business. This type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and my action will be to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. I also have another declaration of interest to make in relation to C32. The description is the Draft Operational Plan 2021-22 Strategic Priority 4.5 Sale Yards. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Julie Guthrie. The person with the interest or the related party is that I am in a partnership, which is Guthrie Pastoral Group, which includes myself, my husband Ross Guthrie and my son Nicholas Guthrie. The particulars of the interest is that this partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards, Strategic Priority 4.5. The type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and the action that I will take will be to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. I also have a declaration of interest to make for C13. The description is Draft 2021-22 Project Proposals for Function Sale Yards Project ID 4.5A. I, Julie Guthrie, am the declaring councillor, once again declaring an interest with a related party in a partnership, which is Guthrie Pastoral Group, which includes myself, my husband Ross Guthrie and my son Nicholas Guthrie. The particulars of the interest is that this partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is included in the project proposals for function sale yards, specifically project ID 4.5A, placement of 3 lot recognition scanners located at the Roma Sale Yards. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I will choose to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. I also have a declarable, I would like to declare a conflict in C22. The description is a list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project ID U4.9A. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Julie Guthrie. The person with the interest or the related party or the close associate is myself and the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee Inc. The particulars of the interest is that I'm a committee member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee Inc. and the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee Inc. is included in the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, specifically project ID U4.9A, upgrade of driveway at the Roma Rural Student Hostel. The type of conflict is prescribed conflict of interest, and I will choose to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Oh, my next. I, Councillor McMullen, declare a conflict of interest in item C13, description, draft 2021-22 project proposal for functions sale yards project ID 4.5A, declaring councillors myself, Jeff McMullen, party with the interest myself, particularly the interest I am registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma Sale Yards. The Roma Sale Yards is included in the project proposals for function sale yards, specifically project ID 4.5A, replacement of 3 lot recognition scanners located at the Roma Sale Yards. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, action, I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest in C30, the description is Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priority 4.2, Economic Development and Local Business, including 4.2.5. Declaring councillors Jeff McMullen, person with interest myself. I am registered to buy and sell cattle at Roma Sale Yards. Roma Sale Yards is referenced in Strategic Program 4.2, Economic Development and Local Business. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, action, I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. declaration of interest on C32, draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 4.5 sale yards, declaring councillor Jeff McMullen, person of interest myself. I'm registered to buy and sell cattle at Roma sale yard, strategic priority 4.5, declaration, type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, action, I'll leave the room while the matter's discussed and voted on. That's the last one,
With my interest, declare item number C13, description draft 2021-22 project proposals for function sale yards project ID 4.5A, declaring councillor is myself, person of interest and related party and closely associate is my partnership of W&A Ladbroke, husband and wife Alana Ladbroke. Particulars of interest, the partnership is registered to buy cattle at the Roma sale yards, and the Roma sale yards included in the project proposal for function sale yards, specifically the project ID 4.5A, replacement of 3 lot reconditioned scanners, scanners located at the Roma sale yards. Type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action that I'll take, I'll leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest with item C19, description draft 2021-22 project proposal for function facilities project IDS is 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH, and the declarable councillor is myself, Councillor Ladbroke, a person with the interest and related party, and a close associate is Identity Roma Show Society, my wife Alana Ladbroke, and the Roma Turf Club. Particulars of interest, myself and my wife Alana Ladbroke is Vice President of the Roma Show Society, and I am a member of the Roma Turf Club. I have a conflict with the following projects under the strategic priority for facilities, 4.9D, Bassett Park, replace ladies' toilets and showers block, 4.9F, plumbing work at Bassett Park, 4.9I, Bassett Park, upstairs bar carpet, 4.9P, stormwater upgrade, Bassett Park racing stables, 4.9Z, Bassett Park, water line dedicated, is it dedicated? Yeah, water line for fire fighting, and 4.9AH, Bassett Park Park canteen, design only. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declaration of interest of C21, the description list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget project. IDS U 4.9A, U 4.9B, U 4.9P, U 4.9U, U 0.49V, and U 4.9W. My eyes are getting a bit blurry. And the declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Ladbroke, a person of interest in a related party, close associate and other, Roma Turf Club, Roma Show Society and Roma Turf Club. Particulars of interest is myself and my wife. My wife Alana is Vice President of the Roma Show Society, and I am a member of the Roma Turf Club. Both organisations have respective user agreement with the council for use of Bass's Park. Bass's Park is included in the list of projects not funded in the draft. 2021-22 budget, specifically project ID U4.9B, Bass's Park Wall Court Upgrade. Project ID U4.9P, construction and storage of shed at Bass's Park. Project ID U4.9U, slab replacement at Bass's Park Hobby Horse Stables. Project ID U4.9V, pleasure horse stables replacement. Project ID U4.9W, revamp of old horse stables at Bass's Park, example Besser block walls, etc. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll be taking is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. The other declaration of interest is item number C30, and the description and draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 4.2 economic development of local businesses, including 4.2.5. Declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Ladbroke. Person of interest and related party is a partnership W&A Ladbroke, husband and wife, Alana Ladbroke. Particulars of interest, the partnership is registered to sell cattle at the Roma sale yards, which is referenced in the strategic plan, strategic priority 4.2, economic development of local business, and the type of conflict is declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll be taking is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Description, item, another declaration of interest is C32, description draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 4.5 sale yards. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Ladbroke. Person of interest and related party is partnership with W&A Ladbroke, husband and wife, Alana Ladbroke. Particulars of interest, the partnership is registered to buy and sell cattle at the Roma sale yards. Strategic priority is 4.5, and the type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll be taking is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. Declare of interest, item number C33, description draft operational plan strategic priority 4.9 facilities. Declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Ladbroke. Person with interest related party, close is the Roma Show Society. Particulars of interest, myself and my wife. My wife, Alana Ladbroke, is Vice President of the Roma Show Society, and I am a member of the Roma Turf Club. I have a conflict with the following projects under strategic priority for facilities: renewal Bass's Park replacement of ladies' toilets and shower, Bass's Park kitchen refurbishment, Bass's Park stables expansion, Bass's Park plumbing works and water lines, Bass's Park upstairs bar carpet, Bass's Park dedicated water line for firefighting, Bass's Park canteen design only shovel ready, install staff canteen Bass's Park, upgrade Bass's Park jockey room, and the declare a type of conflict, a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll be taking is leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on. You others could have had smoko while
No one's getting
I've
paid
got a
today, I know
declaration
that.
of interest on C22. The description is list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project .e U4 9A. I'm obviously the declaring councillor. The interest is myself. The entity is the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee. I am the chair and the committee member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee. The Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee is included in the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, specifically project ID U4.9A, upgrade of the Roma Rural Student Hostel. The type of conflict is a prescribed conflict of interest, and the action is I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. The next item with the declaration of interest is C35, the draft operational plan 2021-22, strategic priority 5.3, human resources and leadership, including 5.3.7. I'm obviously the declaring councillor. The interest is myself, with the entity being Golden West Apprenticeships. The particulars of the interest: I'm a non-executive director of Golden West Apprenticeships. Strategic priority 5.3, human resources and leadership, specifically corporate plan reference 5.3.7, traineeships and apprenticeships. Lists Golden West Apprenticeships is specifically references the registered training organisation the council work with. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is to leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on.
Okay, do we have anything else?
Couldn't possibly be anything else.
Okay, do we have anyone to move into closed? Councillor Burkett.
In accordance with provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that council resolved to close the meeting to the public at, better not say that, what's the time? 9:49, to discuss confidential items C11 to C26 and C29 to C37, that as councillors consider it necessary to close the meeting. Got to go to the next bit, no? In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed and an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed, as listed.
Yeah, we better say the item numbers and.
Okay. Item number C11, Register of General Cost Recovery Fees and Commercial Charges, retabled. C12, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Functions: Water, Sewage, Gas, Roads and Drainage, Parks and Open Spaces, Waste, Emergency Management, Flood mitigation, street lighting, information and communication technology, arts and culture, cemeteries, building control and pool safety, continual improvement, human resource and leadership, retabled. C13, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Sale Yards Project ID 4.5A, retabled. C14, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposal for Function, Airport Project ID 4.4A, retabled. C15, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Airport Project ID 4.4B, retabled. C16, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Plant and Depots Project ID 5.5A, retabled. C17, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Plant and Depots Project ID 5.5B, retabled. C18, Draft 21-22 Project Proposed for Function, Facilities, excluding Project ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH, 4.9S, 4.9T, retabled. C19, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Facilities Project ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9... Did I just do that one?
No, these are in the
4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH, 4.9S, 4.9T, retabled. C20, Draft 2021-22 Project Proposed for Function, Facilities Project ID 4.9S and 4.9T, retabled. C21, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, excluding project ID U4.9A, U4.9B, U4.9P, U4.9U, U4.9V, U4.9W. C22, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project ID U4.9A. C23, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project ID U4.9C. C24, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, project IDs U4.9B, U4.9P, U4.9U, U4.9V, U4.9W. C25, community groups organisation request for assistance 2021-22 financial year. C26, community crime reduction education initiative. C29, presentation of draft budget 2021-22 excluding draft project retabled. C30, draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 4.2 economic development and local business excluding 4.2.5 retabled. And C31, draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 4.2 economic development and local business excluding 4.2.5 retabled. C32, draft operational plan 2021 strategic priority 4.5 sale yards retabled. C30.33, draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 4.9 facilities retabled. C34, draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 5.3 human resources and leadership excluding 5.3.7 retabled. C35, draft operational plan 2021-22 strategic priority 5.3 human resources and leadership including 5.3.7 retabled. C36, full copy of updated draft operational plan 2021-22 and C37, corporate plan. Serious? LC1. We've done that once, haven't we?
Yeah.
That was done last week.
Righto.
Did we?
No.
Oh, LC1 rating scenario G differential general rates and minimum capping.
Righto, do we have a seconder? Councillor
Everyone was
Guthrie.
sitting back on that one.
Yeah, that's why.
Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. We're just, Councillor Ladbroke, do you have a conflict you want to?
Conflict with C25 and the description of community groups organisation request for assistance 21-22 financial year. I, Councillor Ladbroke, the declaring council, and the person of interest related party is Roma Show Society, and particulars of interest is my wife Alana. Ladbroke is Vice President of the Roma Show Society. The report includes a letter from the Roma Show Society seeking financial support for council for 2021-22 financial year, and the type of conflict, a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take. I'll leave the room while the matter is being discussed and voted on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ladbroke. Well, now we've got to go back into closed, haven't we? So we should have Councillor Ladbroke there for that.
Yes.
Right. Please, Cameron.
Okay, do we have someone to move into closed? Councillor O'Neill moves into closed. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, C11, Register of General Cost Recovery and Commercial charges retabled. Is there any wording on that one? Been no changes on that. Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that Council 1 receive and note the report. 2, amend the Register of General Cost Recovery Fees and Commercial Charges for changes identified in the report. 3, resolve that in relation to those cost recovery fees to which Section 97 of the Local Government Act 2009 applies. 1, that the applicant is the person liable to pay these fees, and 2, the fee must be paid at or before the time the application is lodged. And number 4, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to amend commercial charges to which Section 262(3)(c) of the Local Government Act 2009 applies.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to?
You've got a
Oh.
conflict.
You've got a conflict.
What, on the first one?
C11.
Sorry, can I go?
So you can't vote.
Oh, I won't go.
Catch.
Thank you, Kel.
Thank you.
Well done.
She doesn't need a break.
I don't need to read that again.
Councillor
Butcher.
Ladbrook. Does anyone wish to speak? Is there any opposition to the motion? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
I just remembered there was information we were going to get back with the next agenda item. Like a project. Need to
Project.
adjourn for 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll adjourn for 5
Yeah.
minutes. C12, is it C12?
Yeah.
C12, draft projects for function, water, sewage, gas, roads, drainage, parks and open space, waste, emergency management and flood mitigation, street lighting, information and communication technology, arts and culture, cemeteries, building control and pool safety, continual improvement, human resources and leadership retabled 379. We have a mover, Councillor Hancock.
I move that council include project proposals as presented to be included in the final 2021-22 budget for functions: water, sewerage, gas, parks and open spaces, waste, emergency management and flood mitigation, street lighting and public space lighting, information and communication technology, arts and culture, cemeteries, building control and pool safety, continual improvement. Include the following amendments to the listed project proposals for inclusion in the final 2021-22 budget for functions: human resources and leadership, rename project ID 5.3A, new organisational structure, transition resources / transition project. Further, that council resolves as follows, and a note be included in the 2021-22 draft operational plan. 1, any savings in the 2021-22 salaries and wages budget identified from temporarily vacant positions be reallocated to the transition project to facilitate the implementation and fine-tuning of the new structure. 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to approve expenditure and to enter into the contractual arrangements for resources, materials and services to facilitate delivery of the transition. Roads and drainage, amend the draft 2021-22 project proposals for roads and drainage as follows: adjust project 1.3B Wombat Gap Road, bitumen rehabilitation, with the revised scope being chain 35.550 to chain. It's chainage, isn't it? Chainage 36.329. Include project U1.3J Tilbo Road gravel resheet sections between Surat Development Road to chainage 20.000. Include concrete culvert Gunawin West Road design only.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
was that all?
Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C13, draft 2021-22 project proposals for function Sayards project ID 4.5A retabled.
Are we? All ours too.
Okay, just declaring councillors declare a conflict, I'll leave in the room.
Because you're leaving the chair, Mr Mayor, do you have to,
No,
does someone else have to chair it?
No, no.
There's nothing to chair.
There's nothing to chair.
We go out, shut the door, open the door, and have a report. Go have a minute. Very good, thank you.
Oh, there's no quorum. Cam, would you get them back in, please?
Good to go. It'll be a little bit more than a minute this time, because 3 or 4 have headed to the toilet. 2 have gone and one's going to open the door to come back. Right.
Any wording here, Kel?
292.
Is Burko going to get back in?
Who cares?
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, he can't get through.
He might have his key.
You might have a key.
You'd say the
I'm,
same about me.
Thing flowing, I'm happy to move.
Righto. Please go ahead.
I'll move that council delegate deciding the matter relating to the project proposals for function Salyards project ID 4.5A retabled for inclusion in the final 2021-22 budget to the Chief Executive Officer under Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009.
Okay, we have a mover. We have a, do we need a seconder or?
Yeah, you do.
Yes, you
I do.
Yeah, do we have a seconder?
Lad,
Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to C14.
392.
Page 392, thank you. C14, draft 2021-22 project proposals for function airport project ID 4.4A retabled.
I don't think it is.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council include project proposal project ID 4.4A in the final 21-22 budget for airport function.
So down the bottom, Kel, we've got Councillor Edwards.
no, that's the next one.
That's the,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, for the next.
I thought it was that.
Councillor Edwards, are you comfortable you don't have a conflict with this one? Just get you to check that.
No, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
It was the second one.
Yeah.
Righto. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, C15. Page 397. Draft 2021-22 project proposals for function airport project ID 4.4B retabled. Councillor Burkett.
I move that council include project proposal project ID 4.4B in the final 2021-22 budget for airport function.
We have a seconder, Councillor Hancock. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Now, is this?
It's you.
This is me, yeah.
Probably should have put in the budget, we get a speaker put up so we can just call them back.
Item C16, draft 2021-22 proposal for function plant and depots project ID 5.5A retabled.
No conflicts? No?
Yeah, there is. That's why Councillor Burkett's left, just to
No,
acknowledge.
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Burkett has
Left.
left the room. Please go ahead.
I'll move the council include project proposal, project ID 5.5A in the final 2021-22 budget for plant and depots function.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Is anyone?
Sorry, was there something else coming or no?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Bottom there.
Incorporating the following statement, consultation concur with the teams regionally and locally for composition of the final program, including in the list the initial program.
So
Include in the list the initial program.
include in the budget documents. Include in the budget documents the initial draft program.
Include in the budget documents the initial draft program.
Is the seconder happy with that extra wording?
Yes.
Righto. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Did you want to move anything else? Kel, can you just go up for a little bit for a minute? Bit in red.
No, I've got a bit more advice on that. So.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now we're at C17, draft 2021-22 project proposals for function, plant and depots project ID 5.5B retabled. Is there any conflicts on this one?
No.
You've got one, have you, mate?
Okay. No one's got one? Councillor Taylor?
I'd like to move that council include project proposal, project ID 5.5B in the final 2021-22 budget for plant and depots function.
Okay, do we have a second? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to C18. Draft 2021-22 project proposal for function facilities excluding project ID 9D 4 9F 4.
Back the other way.
Pardon?
4.9D.
Okay, I'll start again. ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH, 4.9s, 4.9T.
9S.
4.9S.
Yes.
I was going to do that one earlier too because it was there to be had.
So that's what it is. Your, whatever your version is.
4.9T.
Okay.
Hang on.
Have we got another one?
4.9T.
4.9T. I thought I did that. Okay, so that's the title. Do we have now has anybody got a conflict?
Not this one.
They're all excluded, thank goodness.
Righto, Councillor Ladbroke.
I'd like to move that council include in the project proposals for facilities, functions including, there you are, project ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH, 4.9S, 4.9T in the final 2021-22 budget, incorporating the following amendments, go through them?
Yeah.
Including new projects, Surat Tennis Court upgrade, contribution towards funding application, project ID 4.9 Surat Golf Club upgrades, including estimate as discussed, project ID 4.9 AB 37 Charles Street, Surat, Colorbond fence, and to remove project ID 4.9V Lion Park amenity upgrade, rename project Lion Park upgrade.
That's it. So we are, that word that the cursor is sitting on, we're getting rid of that, Cal. That wasn't read out, which is correct.
Right. So we happy with that?
That was just adjust, wasn't it?
Yes, it was adjust
Just
that word,
change the
Cal.
word to adjust.
The
where
one the
your
cursor's
cursor
sitting
is.
on. You happy with that, Councillor
Yeah.
Ladbroke? Yeah, that was what we discussed.
No, where your cursor was before.
Under
4.9W. Yep, that one should be adjust.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Edwards, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to C19, page 417.
So councillor Label, you've got a copy.
C19, draft 2021. Project proposal for function, facilities project ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH. So just the one conflict there, Kel, that you know about? Yep. Okay, do we have a mover?
You've got it.
Council,
Did you read it all out? Sorry? Oh, yeah.
no, this is just the heading.
Oh, sorry, yeah, okay.
So, Councillor McMullen.
I'll move, Mr Mayor, that council include project proposals for facilities function project ID 4.9D, 4.9F, 4.9I, 4.9P, 4.9Z, 4.9AH in the final 2021-22 budget, incorporating the following amendments. Project ID 4.9, amend project name from Bassett Park Canteen Design Only to Bassett Park Canteen. Increase the project budget allocation from as discussed.
As discussed, full stop.
As discussed, sorry, not from, as discussed.
And the project ID is 4.9AH,
What did I say?
left out the A.
Oh, sorry, 4.9AH is the project ID. Increase the project budget allocation as discussed.
Don't need to say that.
I'll second that.
Just as discussed, yeah.
Is that
Councillor Taylor seconds that. Is that, so you're both happy with that, mover and
Yes.
seconder? Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Where are we at?
The red is just additional notes.
Yeah, no, you're not to read. I wasn't going to read that, but I thought there was more below it. That's all.
C20, I think.
Yep.
422. Righto. So C20, draft 2021-22 project proposals for function, facilities project ID 4.9S and 4.9T retabled. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that council include project proposals for facilities function project ID 4.9S and 4.9T in the final 2021-22 budget.
We have a seconder. Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Beg pardon?
Oh,
Oh, he's out for this
he's
one.
out for this one too, is he?
Righto.
Would you mind just scrolling down a bit, please, Cal, so we can have a look?
C21, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, excluding projects ID U4.9A, U4.9B, U4.9C, U4.9P, U4.9U, U4.9V, U4.9W.
Easy for you to say.
I'd like to move that council Receive and note the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, excluding projects ID U 4.9A, U 4.9B, U 4.9C, U 4.9P, U 4.9U, U 4.V, and U 4.9W, incorporating the following amendments. Project ID, so does it have to have different wording up the top there?
No, incorporating the following amendments.
So isn't this excluding them, whereas we're actually putting them in there?
No,
So-
no.
It says
Excluding
that.
those projects.
But do we say that these ones that I'm going to title,
It's saying
Incorporating
Incorporating the following amendments.
So we're dealing with this excluding those?
Sorry, I think what the mayor's confused about, if you just scroll up so we can see the sentence above, it's out, receive and note the list of projects not funded in that,
yeah,
excluding those ones because you're about to do something with them.
but should we say we're putting them in or we don't need to? You've got enough direction.
No, sorry, excuse me, Mr Mayor, from how I've read this, those exclusions are about, from the
What's not
title of the
funded.
report, because there's a conflict.
Conflict.
Because they have conflicts.
So we're saying that we're dealing with this list, excluding that list, but the list we're dealing with, we want to
Oh, yeah. Well,
incorporate the following changes. Do you understand?
right,
what-
yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So we're not including those ones.
No, that's just about, we're not even talking about those ID
Yeah,
projects, there's a
Okay.
conflict.
It is a bit.
But I'd like to move that council include project ID U 4.2A, Mount Hutton Retirement Village Council contribution.
Did
So
he-
is this a
did he
different
say that-
movement, or are you just going on from, you'd already moved half that?
No, he just.
No, I'm going to list all the,
He just included.
Yeah, but he's just
I
said
just-
I moved twice.
I now understand what you're saying. We should be stopping at
W.
U 4.9W, dealing with that.
yeah,
And then there are three, however many amendments, I can't remember, they're separate additions.
Yeah.
Because you're wanting to include them and budget
put them in the
to
budget.
do it, yeah. So that's not gonna work.
No, that's, hang on, I disagree. I actually think those projects there that are listed are not actually projects we're excluding. We're just not talking about those projects because we have to talk about them in the next one.
It's the first line, councillor Hancock, the
Well, you
council
can
receiving
bring 'em
the
up,
list of
really.
projects not funded in the draft.
Which is the heading. It's the heading here.
But it doesn't,
It's so what we've done with every other one, we've looked at this list and we've took out any projects that councillors have a conflict with.
Well, that's what we said, didn't we?
So
in
we're
that?
now just saying, this is what we've just done for these last few ones.
But this list here, Mayor, is continuing as the list of projects that people may want but aren't funded. What I understand is the Mayor's about to move that these new projects are to be funded, and so they're separate resolutions.
How about we add the word that council receive and note the list of projects initially not funded in the draft.
See, there's more than just that in this whole document.
It's not funded in the draft, that excluding those, and then incorporate the following.
These are the list of the projects that, that a councillor has a conflict with, which is why he's out of the room.
I know, and they're
So-
still going to be unfunded when we've resolved to
Yeah.
note them. What the Mayor wants to move is 3 projects to fund.
and it's not clear direction.
Conflict in the resolution.
Not in there. Okay, so I'll move that council receive and note the list of projects initially not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, excluding projects ID U 4.9A, U 4.9B, U 4.9C, U 4.9P, U 4.9U, U 4.9V, U 4.9W. Stop. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I'd like to move that council incorporate the following.
Sorry,
Do
Mayor.
they come back in now?
Well,
The
We
first
dealt
one
with
is
that.
just about receiving and noting, so that
Yeah.
And so why is Councillor Edwards out of the room if we've excluded all of these other ones, which some of us have conflicts on, and we're dealing them individually, that doesn't make sense to me.
What was his conflict of interest, please?
He might be able to come back in now because we've dealt with it.
Well, I think he should have been in here anyway.
see the list there, we're now gonna go and deal with them all individually. That was,
I don't,
that said
do I,
councillor
Previously-
Ladbroke.
do I get councillor Edwards in?
But he wasn't part of those discussions, was,
He's previously declared a conflict, it says there, so.
Okay.
Kelly, how many other things under that items, like in that, because if he mightn't have a conflict with them now that we've dealt with that first part.
I was thinking that.
So he
Can we
wouldn't
see
have.
Water
one now,
system,
Martin.
water,
See his conflict?
That's my
He
point.
would have
What
said
was
something.
left in,
Shouldn't have had a conflict, anybody.
It's meant to be councillor Ladbroke,
Mm-hmm.
said 21.
what,
I'll just do the search.
but these,
And that is actually correct because of, where was that letter? Oh, no, that's in the next one.
Maybe we shouldn't have them following, we should have a gap between them.
my point is, this resolution are the ones where everyone's in because we've taken all of the
Yeah.
conflicts out to deal
Yeah.
with them individually.
Correct.
So, anyway,
So do we want to give councillor
What
Edwards
do we do
the
now?
opportunity?
Do I
or-
go out now,
no,
do
we've
I?
already done the resolution.
No, we haven't finished this one yet.
We've done one half,
yeah, those other three, unless councillor Edwards has got a conflict.
but
with those.
councillor Ladbroke should have been out. We've got a mix-up.
Anyway,
Well, we haven't,
Yeah.
Just give
we
me a
haven't
second.
discussed it yet.
We have.
You
We've
four,
removed them,
9.
we voted on that section.
Yeah, actually, I know that's removed. Yeah, and I think everyone should have been in. But anyway.
No,
C21.
Yes, and this is excluding all them. Like I'm reading them.
C21 up there.
I think that's the issue. It's not the resolution.
Anyway.
We took out all the conflicts. We're dealing with them individually. So I don't think anyone should have left.
righto.
Anyway.
So do we want to give
Councillor
councillor
Edwards back.
Edwards the opportunity while I move this second motion?
Well, three, yeah,
Three.
yeah.
Do I get councillor Edwards?
Yes, please. Can we just get up the wording so everyone can see?
C21.
We were so sharp there for a bit.
You got the bit right.
Okay, so we've done one motion on C21. This is,
Can I just stop, and I'm sorry to be a
Yeah.
pain in the neck, when I just looked at those conflicts, where they're listed, councillor Ladbroke shouldn't be in here because U 4.9P
Okay.
was listed as the Bassett Park something or other, so if you go back and have a look and look at the individuals,
But they're
It
excluding,
But they're
excludes
excluding
them.
all them.
they're excluding all them.
We're doing
Okay.
everything but them.
Yeah, okay.
sorry, it's getting late.
We're getting,
Yeah, that's right.
it is getting late.
We're trying to protect you, so
Okay.
that you can join us.
Jesus, yeah, I see that.
Done.
so
You gotta
And
keep
Peter
moving.
just
you just scroll up
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
my
bit,
word.
please, Kel.
Well
How
done,
many is
Wendy.
there?
Excellent.
No, C21, just on what I'm going to move, so councillors can have a look at it. A little bit more, just a tad more.
What's it, is that three?
There's no
So no one's got any there.
conflicts.
So I don't think anyone, just a bit more, please.
You haven't got
Just
any?
right to the end.
Don't think so. No, I didn't have any in that,
Right.
on the U ones.
What about that new project under funded projects with function of tourism?
Yeah, that's that one that's highlighted.
You don't read the
Yeah, right, okay.
Highlighted.
Well,
What is it?
okay, so that's something to do with something. Okay, I'm going to move that council incorporate the following in the 2021 budget. Next, what will we call it? The
next and final draft.
We hope. Project ID U 4.2A, Mount Hutton Retirement Village Council contribution. Increased cost as discussed. Project ID U 1.6A, water system upgrade, auto sprinkler system, tank and solar powered pressure pump, Wallumbilla Town Improvement Group request to allow stage 2 of Wallumbilla Cemetery water system upgrade and facilitate the installation of pop-up sprinkler system in the lawn cemetery. Including this as a new project under funded projects within the function of cemeteries include the cost estimate listed. Project ID U 4.3A, contribution to advanced engine for revitalisation of gateway entrances, northern and southern entrances to Injune Town. Include this as a new project under funded projects with the function of tourism, including a cost estimate as discussed. And is there another one?
No.
That's it. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to 435.
Yeah.
I'm out for this one. Yes. Because if you look at 438, it tells you what we're talking about.
So who's out for this one?
What is it there?
What do you call it?
It's on page
Upgrade.
438.
Oh,
So this is one project, is it?
See,
we needed earlier.
No, we received that information.
Did we?
Through the CEO.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, here we are. I'd like to, so I've said the title, have I? No. C22, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021/2022 budget project ID U 4.9A. I'd like to move that council receive and note the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021/22 budget for project ID U 4.9A and refer this project to the quarterly review or quarterly reviews. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Edwards. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0.
Oh, I like it. I'm going the other side.
436. C.
Well, just jumping the gun.
Not that I'm telling you.
You'll get intermingled with the ones going in.
I'll save it.
So C23. C23, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021/22 budget project ID U 4.9C.
I've got a conflict.
Councillor Burkett has a conflict and will be leaving the room.
439.
Burkett has left the room. Councillor McMullen.
Well, I'll move that council receive and note project ID U 4.9C as not funded in the draft 2021/22 budget, incorporating an amendment to reduce the cost estimate as discussed.
I'll second that motion. Council, receive and note the project as not funded. That doesn't really give, are you going to deal with it in two separate parts or were we looking at, so was that just completely unfunded, councillor?
No, we can't say what's there, but
No, I understand. But CEO, is that enough direction for something to happen?
Is that what you're intending, councillor McMullen, what's on the screen?
well,
I think it needs a bit more actual direction to incorporate something, or we could deal with it in two separate
Well,
lines.
A bit more body.
Yeah, just the direction for the staff to, what to do.
Well, just
could we
put
say
an A
it-
beside one figure, put a B beside the other, and
Oh.
in the resolution say,
or could we
Reduce
adjust,
estimate from
could
A
we
to
just
B.
Okay,
adjust
sorry.
it to the final figure, maybe?
yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah, it was no, yeah, I was just reading it as a done deal. And reduce the cost estimates to the lowest figure?
You could adjust the cost estimate.
Adjust the cost estimates to the lower
To-
figure, as discussed?
What you're thinking is adjust the cost estimate
To,
and project as discussed.
Yeah, and include in the draft 2021-22 budget, the reduced. Like it's not saying anything's been included.
and include the project as discussed.
And
Yeah.
include. Okay, and include the project, I'll start again. Council receive a note, project ID U 4.9C is not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget, incorporating an amendment to adjust the cost estimate and include project as discussed.
So maybe we need to add initially here as well, as initially not funded.
Yeah, because I think that is what's making it sound
Confusing.
not right, is that not funded?
Okay,
It
I
was
think it is.
initially not funded, but we're now,
Yeah, we're actually funding the project. We're, actually, I think that's not right. Just help as an
Okay.
idea, because
It should be
We're
initially
actually-
not included in the draft.
it will be, well, the
And then
intent is
it
to,
becomes
It's not funded in
adjusted
the
and
well,
put into the.
basically that we receive and note the project and fund
yeah, that could work. too.
the
okay,
and fund
ID,
project ID in accordance with the cost estimate and project description as discussed, or do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Don't need the other stuff there.
Yeah, because it's read wrong.
Don't have to mention the unfunded, do you really?
Fund project in accordance with the cost
the
estimate.
council receive,
Could even put the number in that particular case, like the final number.
Well, we haven't been.
the final dollar value,
Well, we haven't been because of, yeah.
other reasons.
Yeah, we're probably,
Can, the council
Because it's just a different number than what was there.
Righto.
yeah, but we've done that with other projects and haven't, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Potentially the scope that's identified in the unfunded
That's
is
right.
different as well.
That's and that's why we're saying with the cost estimate and project, maybe and scope of project
Project,
as
yeah.
discussed would be good terminology.
Righto, so we have some wording?
The council receive and note project and
Receive and note.
Note the project.
note the project and fund project IDU 4.9C in accordance with the cost estimate and scope of project as discussed.
Pretty good.
And just leave it at the second figure. Thanks, Cal.
Does that give you enough direction, CEO?
Once that first figure's out, yep, there we
Yep,
go.
righto.
That-
Okay.
That's the final estimate.
Well, I'd already moved,
Got a second.
yeah, second, and I'm happy with that. So any opposition, does anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? We're up to 8-0. Thank you. If we can, or C24, list of projects not funded in the draft
So we just need to get councillor Burke back.
Any conflicts on this one?
George, wasn't it?
George has got to go out, doesn't he?
So you out for C24?
Once you call it, yeah.
C24, list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget for project IDs U 4.9B, U 4.9P, U 4.9U, U 4.9V, U 4.9W. Do we have a mover? Councillor Edwards.
Find it first.
443.
Rightio, we ready? I'd like to move that council receive and note the list of projects not funded in the draft 2021-22 budget for projects. IDs U 4.9B, U 4.9P, U 4.9U, U 4.9V, and U 4.9
W.
something. What's the?
W,
what's
it
that?
is W, yeah.
And U 4. Sorry, U 4.9W. Project ID U U 4.9W, I think that is.
I think maybe you need to put include project, because you just received a note but you actually want to include
Same
this
as
one.
the last one that the mayor did.
Yeah, okay, yep. So, Kel, just after the U 4.9's not there. See, after ID, it's got U.9. Okay, include project ID U 4.9W, revamp the old horse stalls at Bassett Park, for example, Besser block walls, etc. And in the draft 2021-22 budget, as a funded project under the facilities function with an estimate as discussed.
Do you want to take 4.9W off the first sentence, seeing we're including it?
Well, we're receiving and noting it, but
We'll need to put initial,
It does say not funded, so it's a bit,
Not funded, it's actually going to be funded, isn't it? Yeah.
we're just taking it off.
righto. We have a mover, do we have a seconder? Well, it's councillor McMullen first. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Item C25. Community groups, organisations request for assistance.
He'll be still out for this one, will he? Yeah.
2021-22. Can you roll up the wording, please, Kel? Okay, do we have a mover? I think I've said the title, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, councillor Hancock.
I move that council receive and note the letters of request as presented.
So they were dealt with in other.
We dealt with them all in
Okay, do we have a seconder? Any opposition? Councillor Taylor, any opposition? Anybody wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
that's for a fair number.
26, Community Crime Reduction and Education Initiative. I would like to move that this project be included in the draft 2021-22 budget up to the value of, or to the value of $100,000. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? I will. I do believe we do have some serious issues with community issues that we need to get on top of with our youth, and I do believe that this would be a fantastic opportunity to be able to work on this and lead with our community to be able to do this great education initiative, which I believe other stakeholders will get behind, but sometimes the community looks to us as council and councillors to take the lead and solve these crime issues and community issues. Okay, so does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, I do, Mr Mayor. Whilst I agree with the Community Crime Reduction and Education Initiative program and the value that you'd like to include in the budget, what I can't share with the
with the community is the intent behind the spending of that and what initiative is behind the spending of that. And that initiative is not what I do not agree with. I don't believe we as elected members sit around this table and we have all the answers. I would like to see us engage with our community and the professionals in this community to come up with the right community crime reduction education initiative. And so sadly on that basis, because I know the intention behind the recommendation and the resolution, I just can't support this tonight.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Does anyone wish to speak? Oh, councillor Ladbroke.
I'd just like to say that we have to start somewhere and give a few things a go, because I think the community's pretty desperate of what's going on.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Taylor.
I too cannot support this motion, as it's just too broad and I have not been given enough details as the intent of council, so I won't be supporting this either.
Okay, does someone want to speak for the motion? Councillor Guthrie.
I just believe we've got a set of circumstances that if we do nothing about it, we're condoning what's happening and allowing it just to keep becoming a problem that we talk about. I think this could become a seeding grant that then others could come to the party, add to it, and then something really positive become an outcome.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor O'Neill.
Through you, Mayor, similar to Councillor Hancock and Councillor Taylor, I have no problem with the concept of a crime reduction and education initiative. And in fact, I think the community's calling out for someone to take a lead on the issues that are largely prevalent in our community at the moment. So therefore I support us doing something. What I can't in all good conscience support though is a very limited business case presented to council. I would much prefer that there was significant bones put around to an investment of what is being proposed. And therefore I can't support it today, but I stress that I do think we need to do something, and a much broader project could be undertaken where we are the lead stakeholder, but with a lot more people involved in addressing what is fundamentally a major community problem. I'm sorry I can't support the project as it's being tabled here today.
Does anyone else to speak for the motion? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, excuse me, I'll speak for the motion. I don't believe we can make any plans till we see if we've got the money in the budget. If this motion gets up, we get the money in the budget, then we can start community consultation and start putting some meat on the bones, as has been said tonight.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
For it, thank you.
Speak for it.
Yeah, I just reckon it's a good approach. More of a sort of a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down approach. I think the need's definitely there, and I think this is a good starting point for it. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Well, I'll sum up. I do believe that if council does support this community crime reduction and education initiative, there is always a lot of work. Council doesn't go out on day one and just spend the money, but I do believe that that will happen anyway. But I do think that, you can just end up not doing something relatively quickly. So I think we've got to get on the front foot. Our community is asking us to do this, and I believe this needs to be supported. So we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 6-3 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on. Item 9.27.
No, it's C29, Mr Mayor, is the next one, page
C29.
501.
Yeah, we've done the other two.
We've done those.
Done that, have we?
501.
Thank you. Item C29, presentation of draft 2021-22, excluding draft projects retabled. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
Move that the draft budget for 2021-22 incorporating the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flow, the statement of income and expenditure, the statement of changes in equity, the long-term financial forecast, the revenue statement, the revenue policy, and the assessment of business activities to determine if they meet the threshold for classification as a significant business activity, relevant measure of financial sustainability, the total value of the change expressed as a percentage in the rates and the utility charges levied for the financial year compared with the rates and utility charges levied in the previous budget, estimated activity statement and supplementary documents, code of competitive conduct, rates and charges rebate and concession policy, statement of estimated financial position 2020-21 as tabled be received and noted.
Do we have a seconder?
So this way, you want to just clarify the 15.
Just have to be patient. It'll happen.
Oh, yeah. I'm happy to second that. With Councillor Burkett, do you mind if we could put in that motion about the 5% for capital and 15% for materials and services?
Yep.
So we can clarify that, please?
Yep.
To be added to the final budget documents, is that what you wanted?
Well, yeah, there
Yeah.
is no record of that.
No,
at the
that's
moment.
good.
I'm happy to put it in.
So we've got some wording there, Kel, for that?
Sorry, and we also need to clarify that the contents proceed to the next and final, because that would have changed significantly from today.
Well, it's still the draft budget, isn't it?
So have we typed that up, Kel? Could we go to another point if the mover's happy to? Extra. So did you,
So is this about the 15 and 5%?
Well, all of that we've just received and noted is going to change.
That's right,
As
yeah.
well.
So it'll have to be updated.
Be received and
Noted.
noted, that it be updated for the resolutions discussed today is the second point. And thirdly, that, just what the mayor wants.
righto. So is the mover happy?
With that, yeah?
That'll be updated with the resolution of today's meeting with the 15% materials and services and 5% capital split for the efficiency initiative. And what do we say
Which
about
is,
that?
in brackets, budget reduction.
Budget reduction?
And then the 15% is materials and services.
And put operating in brackets, because that's the operating materials and services.
Yeah, operating.
Yep.
And CEO, you were asking about something else that I had to remind you about. We put in the motion. Is it for this one or a different
I
one?
think it will be towards the end.
Right.
So just read that in there. Further, that it be updated with resolution of today's meeting with the 15% material and services operating and 5% capital split from the efficiency initiative budget reduction.
For the efficiency initiative, which is effectively a budget reduction.
So CEO, in that first line where it says with resolutions of today's meeting, are you talking about where we've added some?
Yeah, so
we
what's
probably
been
need to,
full stop there?
yeah,
Yeah, and then that bit is a third. So
Yeah.
there's one, that those things be as table be received and noted. 2, that the information be updated with the resolutions of today's meeting. And 3, that the mayor, you're clarifying, because at the moment we
Yeah.
don't have any instructions
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah.
So point 3 is that the budget reduction be applied based on the following split. %15 materials and service. Yes, and the corresponding reduction in revenue for flood damage works.
Damage works.
So we're gonna have 1, 2 and 3 on those? Or?
Do you want to say budget reduction again there, because it's already included in that one, or?
So the first one becomes 1, the receiving and noting bit. We might, sorry, Cal, in number 1, what if we say that the next draft budget, or that today's draft of the draft budget as presented to the meeting, the draft budget as presented to the meeting, as presented to this meeting. Be received and noted, incorporating that tidies that bit up again. And then point 2,
So you get rid of as table and received a note there.
that the information, the documents be updated with the resolutions of today's meeting. 3, the budget reduction be applied
So I'll have to read that. I'll read that again, or just?
Just to clarify, once, CEO, are you
Mr Mayor,
happy with the intent?
we might need to also include the 2020-21 because that then slipped out in
Righto.
the number 1. So where it says the draft budget for 2021 presented in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, would the mover be happy if we put another point to further consider flood damage as part of a further review?
just to give us the option to come back.
Great idea.
Should be here by 8 o'clock. We'll get Marcus and can take it forward.
I could give him last.
Flood damage budget.
It's revenue and expenditure.
If you know, some butcher shop, might put some sausages today.
Maybe. consider the flood, damage budget at a later review.
Yep.
And then you could put in brackets, expenditure and revenue, so you're looking at both,
Yeah.
Mr Mayor.
Expenditure and revenue, if you're the movers, happy with that?
Yep. I'll have to drink of water before I read this one.
Mine shows me on a map, but it doesn't.
Right, are we happy with that?
Always talking to me.
Okay. Councillor Burke, would you like to clarify the final?
I'd love to. I'll just start at the top again, Kel, sorry.
Haven't you
I'd
done
like
that?
to move that, one, the draft 2021-22 budget presented to this meeting be received and noted, incorporating the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flow, the statement of income and expenditure, the statement of changes in equity, the long-term financial forecast, the revenue statement, the revenue policy, and assessment of business activities to determine if they meet the threshold for classification as a significant business activity, relevant measures of financial sustainability, the total value of the change expressed as a percentage in the rates and utility charges levied for the financial year compared with the rates and utility charges levied in the previous budget, estimated activity statement and supplementary documents, code of competitive conduct, rates and charges rebate concession policy, statement of estimated financial position 2020-21. 2, the documents be updated with the resolution of today's meeting. 3, the budget reduction be applied based on the following split: 15% material and service operating and 5% capital split for the efficiency initiative budget reduction and the corresponding reduction in revenue for flood damage works. And 4, further consider the flood damage budget at a later review, expenditure and revenue.
Okay, so I'm happy to second that. I just had a question. In regards to if council wanted some extra flexibility in regards to giving, say, discounts on rating rates, where does that, because I haven't seen that come back where council can decide the new, is it the revenue policy or is it, you know, when, just say we have someone that has, you know, unavoidably missed the discount and they come back. I haven't seen that. If council, like, it's got to be only done once a year, hasn't it?
The legislation talks about when concessions can be granted.
We're doing 30.
Can you just come across, please, Director
So,
Shaw?
so my question is, if it's being wrapped up in the budget tomorrow, is there something that we can have an item in there to talk about that? Or I thought we only adopt that once a year and you can't change it for the whole year.
The amount of the discount.
No,
No, this is the concessions. So remember, we went back to the legislation.
We can adopt the concession policy at any time.
Can we? So, for instance, you know how it could be that there's a history of always paying on time, and now we might use Australia Post as not a reason to be a problem, whatever. If we change that, we can change that at any time, can we?
Bring something up
We
in the
just need to
budget.
be clear about whether you're talking a concession, because that's under the concessions policy.
Or give a
Correct.
discount.
Or when to give a discount.
Discount.
Yes.
A discount is for prompt payment, and if it's not prompt, then the discount should be.
So what the mayor's talking about, the policy that includes the parameters that we set,
Is the revenue statement.
that's the revenue statement. That's coming up tomorrow.
So, basically, because I'd like, if we can, have some more flexibility, that we can look at payment history, and the only reason I'm asking it now, because I want to get it in before the budget, but is that something that, or is that so basically, because I remember we said it and there wasn't much flexibility, so it's the revenue statement. But anyway, just.
It's not tonight anyway, Mayor,
No,
it'll be tomorrow.
no, but just to give you a heads up about it. Okay, I'm happy with the seconder. As the seconder, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 6-3 if I can call for a division. Okay, C30, if we haven't already done it.
Page 630.
No, the next one.
Next one, is it?
C30, Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priority 4.2, Economic Development and Local Business, excluding 4.2.5, retabled. Does anyone have a conflict with this one? No.
Next.
Okay, and is there, okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Edwards.
I'll move that council receive strategic priority 4.2, economic development and local business, excluding 4.2.5 of the draft operational plan 2021-22 and approve its inclusion in the next step of the draft statutory documents.
Councillor Ladbroke. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay. C31, Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priorities 4.2, Economic Development, Local Business, including 4.2.5, retabled.
We all have this one, okay.
Is this the Sayards, is it?
Are you taking your keys, councillor Taylor? Are you taking your keys, councillor Taylor?
Oh, no quorum. Pam, can you get them back in, please?
I hope they've taken their little buzzers with them.
Yeah, they did.
The other councillors take keys or?
Yeah, well, one did, I think.
We hope so. Hope they come back.
That was, what was that one? 31, wasn't it? 32?
31's next.
31.
We've just done 31, we're at
already.
32 now.
We've got to deal with C31.
Yeah, yeah.
Having finished.
Oh, what do you mean? That's the one we took out, isn't it?
It is, but we still have to
We've
deal
got to
with it.
deal with it, yeah, that's right.
Got to refer it to the CEO.
Oh, that's right.
That's what we
All
did
coming
last
back.
time.
Yeah.
That's a Celine Dion song, mate. It's all
It is,
coming back.
it is a Celine Dion.
The next one's C32.
All coming back to
We're
me
all
now.
out for the next one too, are we? Yeah.
Well, this will be exciting viewing for people watching the proceedings.
I haven't watched one yet. They might all go to the toilet break. Commonwealth Games is on, surely. I mean,
They can
Olympics.
hit pause.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they need a pause too.
We've got a goal too,
I said that.
McEwen.
What?
Got a backstroke, wasn't it? 100 backstroke?
Yeah, swimming, yeah, of course, yeah.
Not the Mitchell girl?
Nah, she made the final, I think. I haven't heard.
Who's that? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she came
We
third
should
in her
do
heat.
that in a minute. Did you do two ones?
Shop
No, no, we're,
No, Cameron told me.
I can't hold it. Oh. I didn't realise it was there.
happy to move.
I got an autograph before she was famous.
So this is C31.
I'll move the council delegate deciding the matter relating to strategic priority 4.2, economic development, local business, including 4.2.5 of the draft operational plan 2021-22 to the Chief Executive Officer under section 257 Local Government Act 2009 with the next draft of the statutory documents.
We have a seconder, councillor Hancock. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C32.
Yep.
Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priority 4.5, sale yards retabled. We'll be back.
We probably should tell what we're doing.
I think they've worked it out. No quorum. Cam, can you get them back in, please?
Wearing these seats out.
Yeah. Spin around, Rick.
C32.
Mayor, I'm happy to move the council delegate deciding the matter relating to strategic priority 4.5 sale yards of the draft operational plan 21-22 to the Chief Executive Officer under section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009 and the next draft of the statutory documents.
Councillor Taylor is the seconder. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C33, Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priorities 4.9, Facilities retabled.
That's me.
I've got a, yes.
Has anyone got a conflict on
I've
this
got a
one?
note here that Councillor Ladbrook and Councillor Edwards.
I've got to go, yeah.
I don't know if I've got that right, but that's what I wrote.
I think you're right.
It's on the thing.
Hope you're right.
Councillor Ladbrook and Edwards are leaving the room, have left the room. C33, do we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that council receive strategic priority 4.9 facilities of the draft operational plan 2021-22 and approve its inclusion in the next step of the draft statutory documents.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Ready to come back in when you're ready? C34, Draft Operational Plan 21-22, Strategic Priorities 5.3, Human Resources and Leadership excluding 5.3.7, retabled. Do we have anyone with a conflict to this one?
Next.
No. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that Council receive strategic priority 5.3, Human Resources and Leadership, excluding 5.3.7 of the draft operational plan 2021-22 and approve its inclusion in the next step of the draft statutory documents.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C35, C35, Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, Strategic Priority 5.3, Human Resources and Leadership, including 5.37, retable.
I have a conflict on that one.
Councillor O'Neill has left the chambers. Do we have a mover? Councillor Ladbrook.
I'd like to move that council receives the strategic priority 5.3, Human Resources and Leadership, including 5.3.7 of the draft operational plan 2021-22 and approve its inclusion in the next step of the draft statutory documents.
We have a seconder, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. We can. Item C36, full copy of the updated draft operational plan 2021-22.
So this was the one we were going to amend to clarify.
Right, councillor Hancock.
Can I move a motion to amend the heading? To amend the heading and to amend and whatever resolution in the one?
Yeah, so it's just,
I'd just like to move a motion that we amend the subject heading to key edits of updated draft operational plan.
Yeah.
And that council receive the updated edits, the updated edits of the operational plan 2012-22. Sorry, 2021-22. Is that acceptable, Madam CEO? Key edits.
So is that clear enough, CEO?
that's this one, this one.
Yeah. But is that clear enough? That's what you were? What did you say about
36 or 37?
for the draft
36
budget or?
Can we just go to the heading for a moment, please, Cal? Do you mind if we just say key edits for the updated draft operational plan?
Which one are we on?
C36.
Yeah.
And we just need to change the executive summary as well, that in lieu of the full copy, the key edits were provided to councillors with highlights.
Mm-hmm.
With highlighted sections or something. Highlighted inclusions.
And I'd just say, in lieu of the full copy of the draft operational plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In lieu of the full copy of the draft.
Operational plan 2021 to 22. Yeah.
And does that give you clear direction on what you can bring back tomorrow?
And then receive the, do we just take out the word updated then and just put receive the edit, receive a note, or receive and endorse?
Yeah.
Of the, or for the. Are you likely to want to have a look at that tonight though, if there's anything that maybe if you take that with you and we just say receive and endorse the edits for the draft operational plan for the next, for the, to proceed to the next and final draft, just in case there's something that you see overnight that you're not comfortable with. Receive and endorse.
Get home first. Or CZs.
At the end of the sentence, to proceed to the next draft of the statutory document.
Sharon hopping to bed and my eyes will start closing.
Okay, I'll read again. I move that Council 1 amend subject heading to key edits for the updated draft operational plan 2021 to 22. 2, receive and endorse the edits for the draft operational plan 2021-22 to proceed to the next draft of the statutory document.
Okay. We have a seconder, councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C37. C37, corporate plan. Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Edwards.
I'll move that the information be noted and the following changes included. Amend our vision to state strong, vibrant and connected local communities embracing opportunities to grow our region. Amend the first sentence of our purpose to state plan and deliver services and projects for our communities while pursuing excellence in leadership and governance. Amend 4 to state partner with our local communities, government and business to grow our region, etc. Amend 5.3.6 to state providing opportunities for collaboration within and across teams on ideas, etc.
As listed for the rest.
Did you want another line as listed?
No, it's where it says on ideas, etc., will be just in accordance with the existing wording.
And, Madam CEO, with this one, same as the last one, about, you know, in case we see something overnight that we might want to.
No, sorry, the existing, just put in, where it says on ideas, etc., just put in brackets the remainder in accordance with the existing wording. And council was happy for me to update the strategic performance measures as well.
Yeah. But,
The PP.
Or anything that starts with P I can add.
Righto.
So with that, can we put in there that if there's anything that we see overnight, like we did for the last one, could we have a look at the wording for the last one? Just that last resolution in the last line where we said to proceed to the next draft of the statutory document. Because there could be, like, we haven't really read that document.
Yeah. Can I just check one other thing as well? Sorry, councillors, just to make sure that wording
We won't need
is right with the indicators.
if you don't take it home.
Worms have had enough now, I reckon. She's been shredding it.
Change operational plan to corporate plan, Cal.
Time late at night, my words are starting to get
You actually have to include the strategic stuff first.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Just to update the strategic performance indicators rather than measures, thanks.
So that's not new.
For the next draft.
So they've been there before, they're just being.
Oh, we're refreshing.
Refreshing,
They're
yeah,
an update to what was there previously.
Yep.
Okay, is the mover happy with that wording?
Be happy with that last sentence too, Madam
The
Chair.
corporate plan, Cal, should be 2018 to 2023. Yeah, and just do it as a hyphen in between.
Instead of a
Please.
slash.
2018
Two.
dash.
Yeah.
Dash, yeah, thanks.
I'll just read that last bit, Amend. Amend 5.3.6 to state providing opportunities for collaboration within and across teams on ideas, etc. Remainder in accordance with existing wording, and authorise the Chief Executive Officer to update the strategic performance indicators for the next draft and receive and endorse the edits for the draft Corporate Plan 2018 to 2023 to proceed to the next draft of the statutory document.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Is there anything else you need budget-wise?
LC1.
Is it?
LC.
Oh, the LC one. Okay, can I just have a look at the title, please?
Oh, it was a separate piece of paper.
Come with it.
Oh, yeah.
The title there.
LC1, rating scenario G, differential rating minimum capping.
Differential general rates.
Rating scenario G, differential general rates, minimum capping. I'd like to
Minimum and
move.
capping, sorry, that should be
What is it?
minimum and capping.
Minimum capping. I'd like to move that council confirm the following items for the proposed 2021 budget. Refer attachment, rate in the dollar, minimum general rate capping, 0% change from 2020 to 2021, verse 29.
No, it just says percentage.
Officer's recommendation.
Is this the council resolution or is it, it's not the officer's recommendation?
We might just adjourn for a couple of minutes. So LC1, rating scenario G, differential, general rates, minimum and capping. I'd like to move that council receive and note the report prepared as a result of council resolution number SM/07.2021/12. 2, the updated parameters for scenario G for the next draft of the 2021-22 budget be in accordance with the attachment 1 for rate in the dollar, minimum general rate and capping, or capping I should say. 3, the next draft of the 2021-22 budget be based on the updated scenario G rates revenue. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edwards. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? No one wishes to speak. We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 6-3 if I can call for a division. Is there any further business, councillors?
There was one other item that we had after. It's a supplementary resolution. councillors, could we just confirm that that was the one that I emailed, that had those 3 items? Yeah, that council endorse the tabling of an integrated document comprising Corporate Plan 2018-19 to 2023, which is what we aim to do over 5 years. The Annual Operational Plan, which is our annual services and projects for 21-22, and our finances, including detail by function, how we're funding our plans for 21-22, as part of the open agenda.
Well, that's right, because they're enclosed.
Because everything that we've done to date's been enclosed, so we'd have a chicken and the egg thing. We couldn't actually include it without being authorised to table it.
We have someone to move that? Councillor McMullen?
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council, Mr Mayor, I'll move that council endorse the tabling of an integrated document comprising Corporate Plan 2018 to 2023, what we aim to do over 5 years, Annual Operation Plan, our annual services and projects for 2021-22, our finances, including a detail by function, how we are funding our plans for 2021-22 as part of the open agenda.
Yeah, and we might just add the word tabling of a draft integrated document, because at the time of tabling it won't be
Okay,
adopted.
endorse the tabling of a draft integrated document comprising of
Those, yeah, thanks councillor McMullen.
We have a seconder. Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. CEO, is there anything else we need as far as for budget that you need any direction, or have you got everything that you need?
We found that section that you want to consider as part of the revenue statement. It's whether council wants to go back into close to consider that.
Right, it couldn't be done tomorrow, could it, really? You have to get all the
No,
documents done.
I guess probably need to do it tonight, Mr Mayor, so that the documents can be finalised.
Well, I'd like to move, we go into closed to...
What do we got to do now?
Another document, don't we?
One more?
Is it the revenue statement?
It'll be in the red book somewhere.
What's it in?
Yeah.
Oh, the word, yeah, no, I mean,
The word, oh,
we got no agenda.
Maybe, just inadvertently, because talking about the history, looking at the history of how they paid.
It's more about the history than about
Yeah.
the reasons.
Yeah, well, might be tomorrow, but if they can prove a history, they've kind of been talking every time. That's
do we have to add this to the agenda before we go into close?
You would.
Yeah.
Mayor, why don't we ask the staff to circulate the current statement? Councillors review it overnight, and then we deal with it tomorrow.
Well, they've got to do the paperwork.
Know that, but
We've already read it. We've had it before.
I actually have no idea what we're talking about.
Me neither.
Just just putting it out there.
and it's going to be a change, which granted we're going to consider formally tomorrow, but in a step will be tonight. We've been here a long time today.
12 hours.
So could it be done tomorrow if it's an extra bit of wording in there, or is it?
You people are the ones that got to do the documents, not us.
Yeah, I think councillors, probably what will end up needing to happen is that you open the ordinary, adjourn the ordinary so that we can get any other clarity that we need
Right.
to give us some time to process that
Right.
in the morning. I think if we're having to go through a whole ordinary meeting and do this at the same time, it's
definitely.
too much at this hour.
It is.
Should we go into close to discuss what's proposed to be?
I don't think there's enough clarity at the moment. So if the mayor thinks about it overnight, and then we can talk about it in the morning. Because there's people that have to travel a long way.
A long way.
And it's 8:30.
Righto. Do we want to adjourn this meeting in case we need it tomorrow, or?
We've got an ordinary meeting anyway. You can
9
add
o'clock.
anything you like to the agenda tomorrow.
Unless
Do you want to close it down?
Minutes.
Will you even do that? It would actually take the pressure off you not confirming the minutes, wouldn't it?
It would, but I was just thinking.
Yeah, well.
Be unorthodox not to
Yeah.
confirm the minutes of a meeting in which we're adopting the budget.
Yeah, so probably close, Mr Mayor, and like
Righto.
you said, we can use the ordinary meeting if need be.
Righto, so I'll close the meeting at 8:32 PM. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance.